or do we want to take it out of order and do the Lausos thing first?
It's entirely up to what you guys want.
I say we take care of them now and get them out of here.
Right. I would say we take it out of order.
All right, and that's
Okay.
it. Thank you very much.
All right, I see Alex is here, so I think that will be all right. I'll push that along.
Okay, are we ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. The meeting will come to order in accordance with an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. Please be advised that this meeting of the Revere License Commission will be held by remote participation only. Please click on the link below in the agenda and you'll be able to join the meeting. The following matters will come before the License Commission today at our special meeting on Thursday, September 2nd. This meeting was previously filed with the city clerk. We're going to take some of this stuff out of order right now because we do have an officer here that we would want to speak. So the issue that we're going to take first is a hearing involving, just let me get to that. Thank you. The hearing would be H&R Partners, Inc., DBA Valsos Table and Bar, 139 to 141 Shirley Avenue. Alexander Herrera is the manager. This is into a hearing into possible violations of laws and regulations concerning the hindrance of a police investigation. Is there someone here from H&R Partners?
Hello, yes.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Carolina Revias, 69 Howman Street, Revere.
Okay, thank you very much. Ma'am, I'm going to defer right now to Lieutenant Impembra to basically tell us his position or exactly observations of what went on at Valsos on the evening that were in question, which would be an incident that occurred July 15th of this year. And so, Lieutenant, if you could enlighten us on what went on and from your perspective, what the problem was with H&R Partners.
So from the night in question, the call that we received in dispatch was a fight, or more in more detail, two men assaulting another man in front of the restaurant. We send numerous units down there to deal with the situation. When we got there, we saw a couple of patrons attempting to render medical aid to a male party that was laying on the sidewalk that was pretty badly hurt. He had some significant bruising on his head, and there were a couple of employees outside as well, kind of overseeing what was going on. We were there for probably, I would say, a good 30 minutes in total by the time we ended up getting the individual on the ambulance and kind of trying to talk to the employees about what had transpired. The problem is that, you know, there was one employee in particular. It was a male party, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had tried to tell us that the gentleman that was badly hurt, he fell outside, and that there was no assault in the bar, and there was nothing of that nature that took place in the bar. There was no argument, when in reality, the whole thing stemmed from a verbal argument in the bar that spilled onto the sidewalk, and it was actually a pretty brutal assault out on the sidewalk. And the reason I know that is because the camera system at Valsos is one of the best in the city. And I previously, last year or a year before that, I handled a shooting that we had at that location out front, and we were able to catch the entire shooting on video based on the high definition color cameras that they have. There was another employee there who was well versed in the camera system. So myself, Officer Digitali, and another officer, a couple officers from Revere, we were actually able to go back into the back room, play around with the surveillance system a little bit and bring up the video of the actual assault that took place. You see two men follow a man out of the restaurant that night. They get him outside. There's some punches thrown. And then when the guy's on the ground, there's some significant kicks to his head. So the fact that the employee told us that the man fell outside, it was, pretty much no other way to put it, but a bull-faced lie. You know what I mean? And after the fact, I went back to the station after we, got our video. We downloaded the video. I went back to the station and we got to look at the video a little more in detail once we were back at the station. And I noticed that this employee who told us that the man fell, he was actually holding the door open as the assault was taking place. So he was, he actually did the right thing when he saw all these people out of the establishment, but then he didn't do the right thing by trying to cover up the truth and what happened that night. Like I said, it was a pretty brutal attack on the victim. He had a good sized welt on the side of his head. And it was just disheartening that he wouldn't. A lot of these establishments, when there's alcohol involved, they're very hesitant to come forward with the truth about what happens in the bar for this exact reason, because they know that they're going to be called on before the license commission, and they're just, unfortunately, they try to cover up a lot of things like this that happen.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Was it your impression by your observations of the patrons in the bar that there was that the patrons were intoxicated, or was there an issue involving over-service from what you could see?
From at that point, there were very few people in the bar. It was more toward the end of the night. I think I recall just one couple sitting in the corner and another 2 or 3 people sitting at the bar. So there was no alert to anybody being overserved. It was just the whole assault incident that really rubbed me the wrong way with the cooperation that we received from the employee at the time.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions for Lieutenant Impemba?
I would just like to know, he mentioned there was a shooting. Are you saying there was a shooting outside, not related to this bar?
Yeah, this was actually, the shooting took place prior to the bar even being open. However, their camera system was working. They had the surveillance system put in place during the time that the construction was going on. The camera system was in there very early. And it was a shooting, a young gentleman from Chelsea. He was 18 years old. He just shot the gun off into the parking lot next to the building. But the cameras are so good that we were able to catch the whole thing on video.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with the restaurant, though?
It had nothing to do with the restaurant at all.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple questions to you, officer, and thank you for your recitation of the facts. But my question to you is, when you were at the scene that night, did you observe, anyone from management, discouraging any of their employees from cooperating with you guys, or?
No, I didn't observe that. I just, it was kind of painfully obvious that the one individual who we were dealing with, that one employee, and like I said, I apologize for not remembering his name, but he was the one that was closest to the incident and observed the incident as a whole. I mean, if you look at the video, you could actually see the door from the restaurant open as the altercation spilled out onto the sidewalk. And you can actually see the manager in the doorway kind of as he shuffled everybody out, or as they shuffled out on their own. He was probably 5 feet away from the altercation when it happened. So to say that the guy fell and that's how he sustained his injury was a little, it was a little over the top.
Over the top. And also, officer, if you, to the best of your recollection, do you recall what was the level of cooperation from management that night when you were trying to understand what was going on?
To tell you the truth, I think we had minimal contact with anybody in a managerial role. Most of our communication was with that employee.
And no one identified themselves as the on-premises manager that night?
Not to my knowledge, no.
All right, that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Do you have any more questions, Commissioner Orsina?
Oh, no, I don't. That's all for now.
Thank you very much. Lieutenant, thank you very much. I'm going to ask a representative of the bar to explain their side of what they heard. Is there someone that wants to take that on? So you guys, that's the way it is.
No, there is actually a couple of representatives from the bar that happened that night, and I'm not sure if I don't know if they're not able to connect. One's having an issue with the volume, so we are here to.
Excuse-
Actually, he's on the site. He's
Muted.
connected with the
Can she
employee that
identify-
in reference. Hello,
Could you please identify who you are?
Carolina Rabias. I'm part of H&R Corporation.
Are you representing Velasquez?
I'm one of the owners. Yes. So he's actually on the line, but I'm not sure what's happening with his audio.
Okay, and your name, just for the record?
Sorry.
Alex is muted. He needs to unmute his,
Yes. Give me a second. Let me see how.
Just for the record, he is on and he is allowed to unmute himself. I think he just might be having technical difficulties. This might work.
So right now, we're speaking to one of the owners. Am I correct?
Correct.
yes.
Hmm. Is he unmuted, Alex? I'm not sure how to. Let me see if I can follow.
He is unmuted on Zoom.
So wherever that camera is, he can unmute it in the lower left-hand corner.
He is unmuted at this
Is
moment.
he?
On Zoom, he is unmuted. If he's having a difficulty, it might be more,
On his
yeah.
end.
yes.
Well,
I would like to know, the party that the officer spoke with, are they present today?
They're on the.
employee-
Yes, they're actually the employee is also on. They have them. Let me see.
I think he's dialing in now. I've just allowed him to speak on the phone as well. So if he wants to unmute that, that should work too.
Um,
well, can we hear from the employee who was present? And can we get his name and address for the record, please? I think at this point, I don't think we should, we're going to waste any more time. We have what Lieutenant Impemba said. I don't think we should tie him up any longer. I don't know what else he could add that he hasn't. Lieutenant, is there anything that you would like to add that we haven't discussed or you think is important in this situation?
The one thing that I did not mention, and it's not really relevant, but once I got into letting you know that we had a chance to further review the video once we got back to the police station, once I realized that the employee was being untruthful, I actually responded back to the restaurant and just expressed my my unhappiness with him and told him that, you know, in the future that he should probably do, it'd be in his best interest to cooperate up front rather than try to cover something up, because as an employee, he should be well aware of the fact that there's a very expensive, elaborate camera system on the property.
Did you think he
Okay.
got that message, or did he give any explanation for why he lied to you?
No. He just apologized.
Anybody can hear me now?
Yes. Alex?
Okay. This is Alex Herrera from owner and manager of Balsos Restaurant and Bar.
Very good. Can you,
Okay. I got problems communicating with using my laptop, so it's why I cannot use my the speaker of my laptop, and my desktop doesn't have a camera, so I don't know if you can see me, but I plan to use my cell phone as well.
that's okay. As long as we can hear you, we're fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna give my part of the statement of what happened that night. So that night I was working here in my both places, Balsos Restaurant and Balsos Cafe. So when the incident happened, like it was like around 12 or something, I don't remember exactly the time, but I got called from Andrea, who's the server, that I was a fight here at the restaurant. Okay. Camilo, who is the gentleman who the detective said that he was lying, he was the bartender on duty that night. He mentioned to me early that there was the gentleman who got beaten was bothering the people at the bar. So saying some some bad conversation, and Camilo asked two times, he asked politely to stop bothering people, and he also he didn't sell anymore. So at that point, the gentleman stayed at the bar drinking water, but he continually bothering the three people who were sitting over there, the two gentlemen and one lady. So apparently he said something something bad to the lady, and then the guys invite him to fight outside. You can see that on the video. And the guys beat him really bad. I mean, we don't have to talk about that. You saw what happened on the video. Then Camilo went behind, and when the guys were trying to leave, Camilo went behind because he wants to ask them to pay the tab. So the guys came back inside, and they grabbed like a half glass of water, or it was like a bottle, glass of wine with water, and they threw it on the guy after he was beaten on the floor. So they paid Camilo, and Camilo went back outside, and he was grabbing the guy from the teacher because he couldn't hold himself. Camilo, what he tried to explain, because the detective said to me that Camilo was lying. I asked Camilo why. I mean, the detective was saying that, and Camilo said, I didn't lie to the detective. I told the truth, and I didn't see when the guy was beaten in the head. When I went outside to try it and get these people pay me, is when I saw the guy on the floor, and I hold him from the. I grabbed the guy from the teacher, and the guy fell again. That's what I told the officer. And Camilo's here with me because he's going to talk, because he said that the report is a misunderstanding in the report, because the police went back to him and said, why you lied? And Camilo said, I didn't lie. I mean, I told the truth. There's no reason for me to lie. I don't know what the confusion or the misunderstanding on the report, but I want to state that I'm saying what he's saying. I'm gonna let him talk. So he said what I just said, but I will try to cooperate with the police officer. We gave access to the cameras. We called the police right away. I think Andrea gave a detailed explanation of what happened, because Andrea said that she also didn't see what happened. So I don't know why is the confusion, but I mean, at this point it's not. I mean, Camilo keeps saying that he didn't lie. He saw what he saw, and this is what he told what he told to the what he said to the officer, because he was holding the guy from the back, and when he went back inside, the guy fell by himself in his head, and I saw that too.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Just to ask a question, please. Was he there at the time? Were you there at the time, Alex?
I'm sorry?
Were you there at the time of this altercation?
I was, like I said, I was at the cafe when Andrea told me that I was a fight, and I came here right away. So when I came not inside there, because I didn't come to the back. I usually come to the back in my restaurant, in the Balsos restaurant, but I went through the front, And when I went in there, Camilo was holding this guy through the teacher because he was. I mean, I saw the guy. I saw like the three guys running through Nahan Ave. When I got to the front door, it's all I see. It's all I saw when I got to the restaurant.
Right, so you didn't really see the incident.
You did.
You were-
No, I saw what I see on the video, like what I was
On the
looking at the
video.
video, but I see Camilo running to the front door, like
Okay.
Okay.
to the door to grab the money from these people, and then he came back inside again, and then he went back inside out to hold the
Okay.
guy.
Thank you.
Can Camilo say? I mean, his statement. I'm sorry.
Well, we're not. We have some questions for you, Alex. So,
Okay, absolutely.
well, Commissioner Gonzalez, are you done with your questions?
Yes, I'm done with my question. I just want to know if he is an eyewitness to what took place. He's saying he looked at the photo, so he really wasn't there when the officer was speaking to the employee.
And that's part of my concern too, because Alex, you are in fact listed as the on-site manager of this restaurant. Isn't that
Mhm.
correct?
That is correct.
And you're also listed as the manager, the on-site manager of the cafe. Isn't that also true?
That is correct.
So, and at the time of the incident, you were at the cafe, right? According to what you just said.
That is correct.
So you're not actually on site at the restaurant. You were at the cafe, right? Who?
Yes, I'm back and forth to the cafe and the restaurant
Well, I understand that, but listen, here's my question to you then. Because in the event that you have a serious incident like what took place in July at your restaurant, who's on site all the time to ensure these things are under control? Because if you're bouncing back and forth from the cafe to the restaurant, who are you relying on to manage your restaurant in your absence?
I understand your point, but I mean, as a manager,
It's a question, Alex. It's a question.
Yeah, as myself, like me as a manager or any manager working in restaurant business, I mean, you have to like, as a manager, you do errands, you go out, you got to do something.
No,
I mean,
no. This is more than an errand. Listen, Alex, listen to me very carefully. My question to you is, when you're bouncing back and forth between your cafe and your restaurant, when you were at the cafe on the day of this incident, when one of your patrons was getting violently beat up in front of your restaurant, who are you relying on in your absence? Because you just said you were at the cafe. Who are you relying on in your absence to be your eyes and ears? Someone has to be there in your absence. You're not out running errands. You just said you were at the cafe and someone called you.
okay.
So my question is, who's there managing when you're not there?
My guys are here at the restaurant. Jonathan, who is one of them with the chefs that runs the kitchen, and Alvaro, my partner.
I thought Caroline was your partner.
Well, Caroline is Alvaro is the husband of Caroline, so she's not here. She was off, so he was here too. But he didn't see I mean, you gotta understand that things like that happens like in a matter of seconds. You know, I mean, this happens outside. I mean,
that's precisely.
I mean, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. I'm not giving an excuse.
No. Well, never mind the excuse part, because I'm not even challenging you on that part. My question to you is, when you have revered police officers showing up at your premises, and that on-site operations manager, whoever that person is, and in this case it's you, should be there to answer their questions and to ensure that your employees are cooperating with the police officers. And it seems like that's not the case here. So my question to you is, who did you put in charge to oversee what was going on at the restaurant while you were running the cafe?
Jonathan, the cook, my chef.
The one that's in the kitchen cooking?
The chef, yes. Correct. Because when I go to my other restaurant, it's a matter of 5 minutes. It's not like I go and I leave the restaurant for half an hour or 1 hour. It's like I'm here all the time. Like I told you, and what you're saying is I was cooperating with the office. When the office came in here, I was the first person to ask my server to call the police. And I was the first person to let the police in here coming into the office and take a look at the videos. So we trying to cooperate and did our best to cooperate. What we trying to say is in here that I don't know what the miscommunication between the officer and Camilo, but it seems to me like Camilo's very upset because they're trying to put words in my mouth that I didn't see. They said they stand that I see everything what happened to the guy and I didn't see everything what happened. So that's his type of like. He's kind of upset because he said like police is saying that I'm lying and I saw everything what happened and I didn't see.
Well, listen.
I didn't see the whole thing.
That's something between you and your employee. This isn't the forum for you to try to clear the record on what you may not have saw. With the issue before this commission at this present time is the lack of cooperation on the part of your employees. And now the question that I have is who is in fact on premises when something like this takes place, because I'm certainly not satisfied with your representation that you're bouncing back and forth between two restaurants, because according to the police report, the officers were well on the scene talking to your employees before you arrived, and then you arrived while the officers were already talking to your employees, and then you took over the conversation from there. So again, the issue before the board isn't for you to clarify that, for your employee that you may not have said this about him or that. That's not relevant to me at this point. My question to you is the fact that you're essentially bouncing between two restaurants as the on-site manager when you need to be at one restaurant ensuring the operations of that daily restaurant, and it seems like you're going back and forth. It's owners.
It's 4 people in here in charge of the restaurant, including myself, which is Alf, Caroline, and my chef Jonathan. So it's 4 people in here. And Alvaro was on the other side that day. When I went to the cafe again, I left Jonathan in charge. I said, Jonathan, I'll be back. You're in charge of the restaurant in the meantime. So it's always someone in here watching the place when I'm not here, or vice versa, or at the cafe, because we got plenty of people. What I'm trying to say, things like this, I mean, I could be inside the office, outside the kitchen, and I didn't see the problem because the problem happened outside. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's not that I'm leaving the restaurant and leaving the restaurant for more than 10 minutes. This happened in a matter of 2 minutes, and you saw that on the video.
Daniel,
And
can I say one more?
and sometimes I'm here in the office doing work I'm here in the office. I go to the dining room, back and forth,
Alex, I just want to hear from the officer really quick. Go ahead, Officer Lieutenant.
So unfortunately, this is an unfortunate incident, but to your point about a manager being present or someone making decisions during the course of the night, we heard from this gentleman that the patron who was assaulted was giving a woman a hard time repeatedly. In the future, it would be best if one of your employees would contact the police just to remove the unruly patron before it escalates to a level where someone's getting beat up out front. If this gentleman was bothering a woman at the bar like numerous times, we could have came and removed him if somebody had called us, and this could have been avoided.
Many
And,
many times that does happen, and we tell them, we call please remove yourself from the establishment, and if not, we'll call the police. And many times it happens that they remove themselves from the establishment.
But not in
So
this case.
unfortunately, it's not in this case.
No, I mean, if you look at this, the bartender who saw the situation allowed that person to stay in the bar, which seems to be really a problem and a lack of understanding. Is there any security? Is there door people? Is there anything on premises to deal with this kind of thing?
Well, restaurants don't have security. Many times as managers and owners, we try to diffuse the situation in trying to have them exit on their own.
What we did we put a program, we put a system and program from that date where we told everybody, or we train everybody already, when this happens again, and we ask the patron to, when they start doing things like that, the procedure that we have is we ask them once to leave politely. If they don't leave, we call the police. So that's what we started doing more than a month ago already. And it's working. It's a couple of times that it happens to us again, where we have to ask people to leave, and they been cooperating, but that's the policy that we have right now. So first any patron that start acting or bothering other people, and we grab and we ask them to leave or not to do that anymore, and they continue, call the police. Like I said, twice happens already, and they left on their own without have to call the police.
Okay,
But sir, when you call the police, sir, you have to work with the police department. In this case, I don't think you did. You should have worked well with the police department, answered the questions truthfully, and let him do his job. It's very hard for the police to walk in to a situation and not get correct information to correct the problem. So I guess that's what's really bothering me, that you could have been much more helpful. Or you
I think
I'm sorry, but I mean, you're saying something that I don't agree with that. I was very cooperative with the police, and they can see that. I answered all the questions that they asked me, and I gave them access to the cameras.
Alex, excuse me, he was talking to your employee. I'm talking when he was talking to your employee, Alex. You're answering questions for your employee. It was your employee who spoke to this officer. And that's where I, that he was not cooperative with the officer, giving him the correct information. God forbid, things could have went really wrong if he didn't have all the information.
I completely understand and agree with what you say. And the first thing I did that night, I grabbed the employee on the side and I said, Camilo, what happened? The police officer is telling me that you didn't say the truth. So all I'm saying in here is what he said. He said, Alex, I'm saying the truth. I don't know why the police keep saying that I'm lying. It's why I have him here so he can explain what happened that night, because it's I mean, if I try to correct the employee, but the employee comes to me and say, okay, I'm not lying. This is the truth that I say. I mean, what can I do, you know?
I'm leave the police officer. The police officer has no reason to change any story that was given to him on the night of the incident.
can we hear from the employee?
Hello?
Yes, is the employee present?
Let me call him. Give me 1 second.
Lieutenant, is this explanation squaring with what you know to be the truth?
Well, basically, the information I provided is what I recall from that evening. And like I said, if the police were called prior to the physical altercation, we could have just removed the unruly customer and none of this would have taken place. But for some reason, like I mentioned earlier, it's just the people are hesitant to utilize this, you know, and that's unfortunate in itself.
Yes, I mean, look, we're here to help people and to help people.
Okay. Camilo's here. I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right, is Camilo there?
He's here.
Yes, I'm here.
What name and address for the record, please?
Camilo Marquez,
And your address?
164 Crest Ave,
In what city?
Riviera.
Thank you. Can you, Camilo, can you tell us from your perspective, what the situation was that night and what the confusion was between you and Lieutenant Impemba?
Yeah, so that night I have a couple guys, 2 guys and 1 girl. They come to drink at the bar. They was drinking their drinks, and then they can another guy. They come very often, but I don't know why he start bothering the people. Those guys, they didn't say anything to him, but I told him, don't bother the people. And then I caught him. I didn't say more drinks to him. And he stayed in the bar just drinking water. And then he said something to the lady because he bothered the guys many times. I told him like 2 times, don't bother the people. And the last time he said something to the lady, and his boyfriend, he was there, and he got angry, and they just go outside to fight. I was busy in the bar when they go outside, but I tried to run outside. I called the observer, Andrea, the waitress. I told her, call Alice. He was here, the one of the boss and the manager, and she called him. But when I go outside, the guy was on the ground. I did saw in the beginning of the fight. The police, they just say they're lying, but I didn't saw when the beginning of the fight. I just saw the guy when it was on the floor. So when the police officer come here, they was talking when Alice, the boss, and the office. I was in the bar because I have people in the bar. When they was talking in the office, and then they left, and then my boss come to me. They say, "Oh, they said you're lying." And then I told my my boss, I don't know why they say that. I got very angry, and then why they didn't say nothing to me? And like 15 or 20 minutes later, the police officer came back, and they called me to talk with them outside. And then I was talking with them. I explained what I saw. I don't know what happened or why they say that I'm lying.
Okay. Lieutenant Impemba, what are your thoughts?
I mean, so what he's saying about me coming back to the restaurant 50 minutes later, like I told you, after we got a chance to review the video, I just expressed my displeasure with the amount, with the limited information I initially received. And, withholding the truth and lying, go hand in hand. So, I mean, to tell me that somebody fell outside of the restaurant, that's how they sustained the injury, that's what rubbed me the wrong way. And like I said, we could go back and forth all day, but if he provided me with the information just on this call alone is all I needed to hear that night. Basically what he just told all of us in this meeting, that would have been sufficient enough for me to take the next investigatory step into finding out what happened. And, that would have been more helpful than what I received that night. So like I said, we could go back and forth. But,
I understand. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions?
Yeah, that night when that guy was on the ground, and then I threw him for his chair because he lost the balance, and then I tried to sit down him, and he fell on the floor, and he had his and the fix and the back, very back.
Okay.
He was trying to get up, but he couldn't. And then I just told him, just stay down, don't move. And then he tried to get up, and he hit his feet many times on the floor.
All right, thank you. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Commissioner
No
O'Shea?
further questions.
Okay. Would anybody else like to add anything else before we come to a...
I want to, before we leave this meeting, I just want to ensure that I believe it's a communication, the lack of language and the whole, I just feel that it's a miscommunication, this whole process with the lack of English per se.
Yes.
Because as you notice, there is a lack of something in this conversation. So I feel there is some miscommunication. It's not the withholding of information or lying.
Well, that may be your perception, but it would seem to be that there's a little bit of obfuscation here, a little bit of clouding of the issue. Like maybe he fell, we don't really know what happened. But I mean, if the bartender had been honest with Lieutenant Impemba and told him about the incident prior to him getting on the ground, it probably would have went a long way to solving what exactly happened. And I think that's the lieutenant's point. Trying to say, oh, he fell. Well, we don't really know he fell or how it happened, but you're also leaving out the stuff about the bar.
The altercation in the bar.
Right.
That's where the question becomes, because my whole understanding now is the question for me that the officer is asking, what happened to the gentleman outside? And I don't think that the withholding of information, like the altercation at the bar, may have led to that and outside, but we don't know because he's mentioned.
Pretty clear that we do know, and I think that's the type of obfuscation and the confusion that really doesn't help at all, because obviously everybody knew exactly what happened. The bartender knew, he watched it. So I mean, to
You-
say that he could have slipped on a banana peel is disingenuous, and it really doesn't serve anybody's purpose.
Okay.
Do any of my fellow commissioners have anything to add?
No, I have nothing to add. I think that they know the rules and regulations of their license. And everyone, I understand that people don't want to call, but it is the best road to take. That shows us that they have full control of their bar. They are concerned about what happens. They're taking care of their patrons. And the only ones that can really take control when something gets out of like that are the police. But the police can only do what they can do with the correct information and be given as soon as possible any information that can help them take care of the problem on the premise. I have nothing.
Commissioner Osina, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Other than the fact that I think that based on now that I've heard from them, it just seems to me like I'm not sure if we could find a violation under section 13 or 23, but you know, I think that they just need to understand that they need to cooperate with the Revere Police Department whenever they show up on premises for whatever reason. There needs to be an on-site manager there on premises at all times. I'm not sure how productive Mr. Alex going back and forth between restaurants is going to work. But based on my understanding, this is the first of its kind at this restaurant. There hasn't been a history of violations or issues there. So I know you have to go through other procedural matters, but I think you know, a stern warning and you know, clarification of what their obligations are going forward is at order here.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Well, I would make a motion that we file this complaint with the understanding that any future complaints will result in sanctions. And if they are related, similar to this, of not being truthful with the police, I would, you know, really push for very severe sanctions next time, because this kind of stuff has really severe consequences. It can really go sideways quickly. So my motion would be to file it, and that would, you know, that would be it. If we do hear of another one, we would use this as a second and subsequent offense. Does anybody else want to add, or that would be my motion? I don't know.
I would second that motion.
I would like to be recorded as being opposed, only for the fact is that our police department is out there doing their job. And I just think I probably would have felt better had they come up here and said, sorry, maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe I didn't have my facts right. But to come up and almost call our officer coming up with his own story that he wants to, that kind of offends me, because we do call the police. I rely on the police to do their job and give me the correct information. And in all the years I've been on the license board, they've always given the correct information. And if anything, they go to these clubs, and I think they're very lenient with them. I think they always try to work with them. So therefore, I'm going to be opposed to just placing this on file.
Okay, what would your motion be, Commissioner?
My motion probably would have been some rollback and give them a chance to get their management in order. Myself, I don't have a business. I don't know how it runs. But if you have a cook in the kitchen cooking, and you've got people that are drinking, and the bartender has already noticed problems are coming up, I don't see what the manager in the kitchen is going to do for it. It is going to escalate. It is going to get out of hand. So for me, I just don't think placing this on file, only because of even today's testimony from the club. I personally believe what the officer said, so therefore that makes me a little hesitant to just place it on file.
Well, I don't think anybody-
I probably would have accepted an apology, that he's sorry, that he should have got his facts straight with the officer, rather than come up and say, I don't know where the officer got that information.
Well, I don't think anybody's indicating that the officer was untruthful, just that there was a disconnect between what was said and what he saw.
Well,
So
I think the word lie was used. So that offends.
would you like to put this in the form of a motion to see if you could roll back their hours? Is that something that you want to do?
Well, I would put it in a form of a motion. I don't think I'm going to get a second one, but I would be in the form of a motion that, you know, a 3-day rollback of hours for 3 days, and then come back to us with who is manager at all times, even if they have to appoint someone, this person, but it should be someone's in the kitchen cooking. I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but it's not, I just mentioned that it's not only someone in the kitchen, it's 4 people in here, including Caroline and Alvaro. And Alvaro was here that day as well. So, I mean, I'm not here to, like, once again, to give, I mean, saying that someone is lying or no lying, I mean, or trying to give an excuse. I mean.
Well, sir, Alex, you're saying that isn't true what your employee said. The records are not true, what was written down by the police officer, or am I wrong?
He is here. I mean, he said, I mean, he's here. He spoke to you and gave his part of what happened.
But does he agree?
We're really sorry, but I mean, I'm not, he
Sir,
is here and he's saying what he saw.
I'm not going in circles, sir. I asked one question. Did your employee, does he agree with what the officer said in his report?
We gotta ask him in here. He's here, Camilo.
No.
Yeah, I'm Camilo, I'm the bartender. So I'm so sorry if there's a misconversation. I was here. I talked with the police officer when he came back. I thought everything was clear, but I don't think that was clear. It was a miscommunication. This probably was that. I'm so sorry about that, but I don't know what can I do right now.
All right, well, thank you very much. Commissioner Guanasso, are you, well, I guess Commissioner Orsina, are you going to come up with a motion, or would you like to second mine, which was the hearing, or would you like to?
I would second the initial motion on the table with all due respect and admiration to my fellow Commissioner Guanasso. I think rollback of hours is a little bit harsh. I think that the owners, I accept, although I fully accept the representation of Lieutenant Impemba, but I also credit the representations of the owners, and it seems like it's something that they are going to address going forward. So I'm satisfied with that. I would support putting it on file. I would second your motion, and just observe it going forward.
Very good. Thank you very much. This hearing is concluded. This matter will be put on file, and hopefully this incident is a learning process for everybody involved, particularly the owners of the place, because you can see how quickly this stuff can spiral and have a really severe impact on your business. So work with us and work with the police. They're not out to get you. They're out to keep order and to help the situation. So really, it's incumbent on all of the license holders to work with the police when there is an incident.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your time, everyone. This matter is closed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.